We all know the importance of finding and developing workplace activists. In many workplaces, activists operate in formal structures such as shop committees, sub-branches and delegate committees. It might be less formal, such as a group of contacts meeting off-site. But for all these structures, we use a generic term, workplace organising committees, or WOCs. When organisers meet with delegates or WOCs, they don't always have a positive experience.
Hey, Tula, what's new?
Yeah, well, we need a number of things fixed. I mean, you need to sort out the boss about the rosters, and a couple of people had their pay stuffed up last week. Also, mate, we need a new dishwasher for the kitchen. You know, and the air conditioning is just too cold.
Have you got a pen?
There you go.
Organisers often get loaded up with work because the union's depicted as a third party. For unions to win in the workplace, it's critical we shift the view that they're separate from the workplace. Remember, unions are simply the sum of their members. Only through members and activists playing an active role in their own workplaces can we gain power in our working lives. And being an activist doesn't mean being a revolutionary. It just means to be active. So we try to give activists achievable tasks to build their sense of involvement. Chris, can an organiser realistically reach enough people one-on-one to discuss an issue?
Well, it's certainly critical that we can get around and talk to every worker one-on-one, but it's completely unrealistic for an organiser to get to everyone. That's why we recommend setting up a network of delegates and activists in the workplace so that everyone can be spoken to one-on-one. In that case, the organiser, rather than fixing all the problems, becomes a resource and support for the active membership in the workplace.
How can you develop these activists?
You don't develop them by just talking to them. People develop through activity. We've got to give them tasks to do.
Sounds easy enough, but what exactly do we have to do?
Well, there are a number of things you need to think about. Obviously, we need to ask people to do a task, but the task needs to be realistic. They have to be able to describe why it's important to undertake the task. And they need to be talked and walked through how to undertake the task, be prepared to undertake it. We need to follow them up and give them some recognition for what they've done. All of these steps are important, but it's critical we do talk and walk them through how to undertake the task. Because think about it. If they do a task we haven't prepared them for and have a bad experience, they're less likely to want to do things in the future.
We've turned that into an agenda for use at Workplace Organising Committee meetings. It's known as the WOC agenda. What's new? Last task, give recognition. Next task, why it's important. Talk the task through, walk it through. Inoculation, confirm the task next meeting. Let's see a meeting in action. Try to pick up the agenda stages.
I reckon it's
Okay. We've only got 10 minutes, so let's get on with it. As you know, the main point of today's meeting is to talk about the upcoming enterprise agreement. And we want to talk about the issues that the workers that you've spoken to are concerned about. And Bashir tells me that some good contact has already been made. Yeah, Kathy?
I don't know if it's an issue, and it's what Bashir says too, but I just think it's really important that management knows we're all sticking together. Otherwise, they're never going to take us seriously.
That's a really good point. Thank you, Kathy. Before we talk about what we agreed on in the last meeting, is anything new happening?
Well, they've brought in some more contract staff.
Okay, thanks, Henry. I'll put that down on the agenda. Anything else?
And we have 2 staff that haven't been replaced.
Okay, so I'll put that down as understaffing.
Or maybe lack of relief staff.
Okay. Thanks, Kathy. Can we talk about that after the meeting? Great. Okay, so there's 2 really important issues that need to be addressed on your enterprise agreement. Is there anything else?
Yes. I believe it was Bashir's turn to bring the biscuits this week.
The family is sorted, is it?
They'll do.
Get over it, Mitch. Okay, so last week we discussed the fact that we were going to get lists of names of who works where in the company, and we can thank Majid here for cross-referencing those lists, of which we got most of them. Anything to report, Majid?
No.
Okay, so Bashir here has drawn up a map of your workplace.
Probably why he forgot the biscuits. As you can see, that even though membership's still pretty low, we've got a contact person in 80% of the company. I've represented those by those big yellow dots.
Which is fantastic for us. You remember when they changed the rosters and we couldn't get the information out and back fast enough? Well, now with this network, we'll be able to speak to everybody quickly and one-on-one.
Sarah, we've still got a ways to go on this.
Well, there's this 20%.
That's over next door to you, isn't it, Henry?
Is it? Oh, where's that?
Top left-hand corner, labelled Section F.
Oh, yeah. Hey, what about Jennifer? She knows what's going on.
Do you think you'd be able to sound her out as acting as a contact person, Henry?
Well, I don't know about that.
Bashir, I have to take a run of dockets over to Tony in that section by 6 o'clock today. I think he would make a very good contact.
Great. 2's better than 1. Henry?
Hey, 10's better than 2. What about it, Henry?
Yeah, all right.
Good on you, Henry. And don't forget the issues, mate. The rosters.
Any questions? Sam? No? Okay, Henry and Majid, will you be able to get onto that today without fail? So, as you can see, this line of communication here is critical, and we can get a quick response from people now. If you look at the call centre, which is Sam's area, you can see that we've got 2 NMs, which means new members. What's the story there, Sam?
I spoke to a couple of people about that roster change. They were really angry. One of them even asked me for an application form before I even mentioned the union.
Well done, Sam. I'd just like to draw everyone's attention to what Sam did there, which was to talk about the issue, rosters, because then the business of joining the union just naturally follows. That's the way to go about it. Well done, Sam.
Henry, we didn't get your area list.
Yeah, sorry. I've been very busy. I was off sick for a couple of days.
Rightio, mate.
Yeah, look, this isn't just for you, Henry, but for everyone. If you agree to do a job and you can't do it for whatever reason, please just contact me because it's probable or possible that someone else can help.
Sarah, the way I got mine done, I got an old roster sheet. Have you got any of those hanging around?
Yeah.
When do you think you can get the names to me by?
Oh, a couple of days.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, all right.
Okay, so in order to be in a strong position for our negotiations, we need to have everybody's support on the issues.
Yep, that's right. You've got to ask questions, or there's no point. You just simply get out of touch.
I mean, I could draw up a survey if everyone here gave me a couple of issues, and then we could get in contact with everyone and ask them to rate them from 1 to 5.
I can print them up if you like. Just tell me how many.
Great.
Thanks a lot, Majid and Kathy. That's a really good idea.
Sorry to jump the gun, but Sarah and I have already drafted a survey. You can take a look at it and see that we've got the right issues in there, and once we've done that, maybe then Majid can run a few copies.
I think also when we are doing the surveys, like you were saying with Sam before, the issues first, then people join. It was the same with me. So maybe people will join after they fill out the survey.
Yep, that's a really good point. If people are fired up about an issue, then they're just going to naturally follow on to joining. And so make sure you have a form with you when you talk to people. Okay, so this is just a draft. If there's anything that you think that should be on here that isn't on here, now's the time.
Questions about disciplinary action? I mean, this mob hands out warnings like confetti at a wedding expo.
Thanks, Mitch. Anyone else?
Is there a question here about unpaid overtime, Sarah?
I thought we put that in. It should be here somewhere, Bashir.
Yeah, on the back page, halfway down.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's talk about getting this around. I go up to Mary, who's a potential new member, and what's going to go through her head?
Oh, Mary's thinking another bloody survey.
Good one.
Who will see the survey? Like management?
Yeah, good point, Mitch.
Oh, will I have to sign it?
Yeah, good point, Kathy, thank you.
I'll do it later.
Yes, indeedy. Excellent. So, why would Mary bother signing the survey?
Because we offer her money.
Not out of my pocket, you don't.
Because the issues concern her.
Yep.
Because she likes being asked.
Good point, Sam.
Because she wants a better enterprise agreement.
Bashir has hit the nail on the head. Okay, so it shouldn't be too hard to approach people and bear these things in mind when you're talking to people. Now, could I please have a volunteer for a role play?
Sorry I'm late, everybody.
It's okay. It's just we've got a survey to take to management. So, hello, Mary. Did you know that we're going into a new enterprise agreement?
Yeah.
And did you know that the enterprise agreement sets out the terms and conditions that we work under?
Yep.
Well, there's a few people who feel we could make some improvements and they'd like a better agreement than the last one. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got this confidential survey to take to management as a group to let them know our issues. Would you mind filling it out?
Yeah, okay, I'll get it to you.
Actually, I prefer to pick it up. Is Thursday okay with you?
Don't know about that, Sarah. All right. All right.
Okay. So do you want to have a practice?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Take advice.
Yes. So, Chris.
Okay, so what's management going to do when they find out that we're conducting this survey?
Spit the dummy.
Yeah, so we need to be sensible about how we do this. Don't do it so that management sees you doing it. Make sure you do it in your own time during breaks. Okay, how long do you think it's going to take to get these surveys out and back?
About 3 days.
Okay, let's say 5 days, just so that we're realistic about this. And I'll call everyone tomorrow and see how you're going. Majid, how long do you think it'll take before these copies are ready?
Well, if they are ready now, I can give you a fair copy by tomorrow morning, finished by tomorrow lunch.
Fantastic. So let's meet here, same place, same time, next week. We will have had the surveys out and back by then, and we'll know where we're going. And if anyone has any problems, please call me.
And if anyone has any terminal brainwaves about anything else that should appear on the survey, now's the time. And Sarah and I need to see Kathy and Henry about understaffing and rosters.
Yeah, and don't forget the biscuits.
Note the various stages during the meeting. It's critical the organiser has tasks in mind for the meeting. The tasks depend on the plan. The what's new part of the meeting is where we usually lose all our limited time. But here the organiser demonstrated techniques to acknowledge the issues without getting lost in the detail. If something major had developed, the organiser may have had to change the plan for the meeting. The organiser's role during this meeting can best be described as a facilitator, an educator. What's the organiser been left to do? Nothing, other than follow people up. Over time, key activists can conduct these meetings. We hope this agenda will help you in your critical roles of developing activists and planning campaigns.
Hello, I'm Greg Combay. I'm the Secretary of the ACTU, which is the peak council of the unions in Australia. I want to talk to you a little bit about superannuation, and the reason for doing that is that unions over many years have worked hard to establish superannuation and a decent retirement income for workers. During the 80s in particular, unions, with the support of their members and delegates, ran important campaigns which achieved superannuation savings for workers. Prior to that time, most working people didn't have any superannuation savings to add to the aged pension. So they were very important achievements that the unions were able to make, which have led today to a level of 9% of people's wages being made as a contribution by the employer into each individual worker's superannuation account. Some employees have got better than 9% levels of contribution, but that's what most people in the workforce currently have. We think at the ACTU and amongst the unions that a level of around 15% of people's pay packets is going to be needed to be going into your superannuation account in order to have a decent retirement income. So it's very important, if we're to achieve that goal, that workplace delegates play a part in the campaigns. And so as delegates, it's very important that you understand that over time we need to negotiate across the table with employers to lift the level of superannuation contributions. That's going to mean, if we are successful, having a much better standard of living in retirement. Another one of the important issues about superannuation is the fund into which your money is placed. And unions campaigned in the 1980s to establish what we call industry super funds, and they are funds where all of the profits are returned to the members' accounts. And that's in sharp contrast with the types of funds operated by banks and other financial institutions which make profits out of the superannuation funds. The industry super funds also have joint employer and union trustees, and those trustees together have a sole responsibility, of course, to try and get the best return for super fund members, but they've also dedicated themselves to making sure that the industry funds are very low cost, that is, have low fees and charges. And that's an issue that makes a significant difference over the period of your working life. Industry fund services have done some research that's shown that if you have an account balance today of around $20,000, when you look at it over 30 years' time and compare the level of savings that's in an industry fund versus a profit-making fund with higher fees and charges, in the industry fund you'll be about $60,000 better off after 30 years because of the fact that the industry funds have lower fees and charges. And that's a significant amount of money in your retirement savings. The final thing I just wanted to mention was that the industry superannuation funds have also established a bank, Members Equity, and the bank has been offering over the last 10 years Members Equity home loans, which have been the lowest cost home loans in the marketplace for much of that period of time. Members Equity is now also offering low cost credit cards and savings accounts and other financial services which are of tremendous benefit to working people, and I'd encourage you to find out as much as you can about the Members Equity products. So they are three important issues about superannuation that I wanted to raise with you. Firstly, the need for us to continue to build the level of retirement savings going into superannuation accounts, to lift that level above 9% so that working people can have a better standard of living in retirement. The second issue is the importance of ensuring that workers' money is going into industry superannuation funds or other not-for-profit public sector funds, for example. That's important because of the lower fees and charges, the lower costs of running the funds and the better investment returns. And thirdly, the important issue of Members Equity, the Workers' Bank, because of the low-cost products in home loans and credit cards and the like that it can offer to working people. So I'd encourage you to find out more about those issues and talk to your colleagues in the workplace about them, and you can do so by contacting your union or the ACTU. Finally, I just want to say how important I think the role of delegates is in the union movement. Delegates, I believe, are the most important people in unions. You're in the workplace, talking to other colleagues in the workplace. That's where a lot of the important work of the unions is done, where we find out the issues that are important to people, which form the basis for our collective bargaining campaigns, and where it's very important we remain active. So I'd encourage you to remain committed and remain active, and thanks very much for doing the delegates courses. Thank you.